What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another live broadcast of the Engadget Podcast. I'm Senior Editor Devindra Hardwar. Joining me today is Deputy Editor Cherlynn Lowe. Hey, Cherlynn.
Hola, hola.
Hola. And also podcast producer Ben Ellman is here. How's it going, Ben?
Yes, me and my bedhead are here.
Ben Bedhead, yes. Hello,
Bedhead
everybody.
Ben.
Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about, but mainly it's an iPad heavy week. You know, it's one of those weeks where we spend a lot of time preparing for the iPad and Apple's news and then digesting it and deconstructing it. So yeah, how's everybody doing in the chat?
Hi to Rob Langley. Hi to George Morgan. Hi Simon B from Montreal City. Niranjan Banda says wowza. And
Wowza.
hi Markdell again and again and again. We're in an infinite loop. Markdell and I have been saying hi to each other on repeat. Daniel Diaz says hi all. Hello.
Hi all. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you all for joining us. Hey, Deeper Nine. Good morning, everybody. I'm so happy we're doing the streams again because it kind of centers the week a little bit, so that we get to talk to everybody and have some fun conversations. We're going to do a little demo with the Rabbit R1 that we didn't get to do last week, so that'll be fun too. Unfortunately,
hi also, sorry, to cut Polly Paul and Goldfinger Silverfinger. Nice, go on.
Hello. We do not have the new iPad Pros in hand, so we're just going to talk about them, but we have thoughts and we have feelings. Also, the Pixel 8a, we'll be diving into that and some of the latest news. There's the news around the Microsoft layoffs, the Xbox layoffs. Also, what the hell is happening to Helldivers 2? So, you know, what a week. A lot of
crazy week.
A lot of crazy things, and also like Sony being Sony and just like shooting itself in the foot. Hilarious. But okay.
Very much that.
Charlie and Lord Buckethead, sorry.
Yeah, Lord Buckethead said hello from Twisting Nether. Man, that's the first time we've had someone call in from Twisting Nether. Before we've had like Jamaica and like Sri Lanka, but never the Twisting Nether.
Never the Twisting Nether. I mean, what goes on down there? I don't know.
It's the upside down.
It's the upside down. Yeah, basically. But yeah, welcome. Thanks for joining us, folks. We are going to be recording the Engadget podcast. Just so you know, once we start that, we won't really be looking at chat, but we'll take some breaks in between segments and, drop some questions.
I'll be looking at chat.
Ben will be looking at everybody and we'll be pulling out comments. But yeah, we will not be directly having a back and forth with the chat. We'll have some Q&A time, maybe in between the show and right after. So stay tuned for all that. But yeah.
Ew, Markdell. Ew.
That's what
anyway.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not even going to.
What's a Twisting Nether?
No, I'm just gonna. So if you've been here before, you know what we're about to do. If you haven't been here, here's a primer. We're going to count down from 3. At the end of 3, we're all going to make a sound. You can clap your hands or snap your fingers. This is just like the clapperboard on TV and movie sets. If you want to put a clap hands emoji or a snap emoji in the chat too, that's fun. It's a little participatory moment. And then we're going to get started on the recording. So, counting down from 3, 2, 1, and some silence. I'll let you know when the silence is over. Okay, silence over.
All right.
Hi to Chooch, who also said hi, and Josh Kerr, Pradyuman Gupta, everyone that's clapping. Hello.
Hello. Thank you all for joining us. Fun times, iPad event time. So now we can like decompress a little bit and think about these things. Yeah, a little bit. Some of us are just always in a constant state of hyper alert intention. Not pointing to anybody in particular on the show.
Not pointing any elbows, as one of my elementary school friends used to say. How would I actually point? No, it would be like this.
You got to be more subtle with the elbows. Okay, folks.
Let's go.
Devices on silent.
We should explain what's the deal to people, no?
We just did that.
Did we? I must have missed it.
Yep. It's okay. Cherlynn was on another plane of existence during that whole thing. It's okay.
Yeah, honestly.
Let me load up actually devices on silent. At home, you can also silence your devices. Feel like you're part of the show.
Sorry, did I swear? Oh, crap.
Games where they can hear your microphone.
Whoops. Oh, well.
Okay. Are we ready to go? I have my notes. I have everything ready. All right, folks, strap in. Once cup is down. Okay. Love the spoons. I love
It's down.
and ice on recordings. That's always fun.
Just spoon. Yeah.
Let's go in 3, 2, 1. What's up, Internet, and welcome back to the Engadget Podcast. I'm Senior Editor Devindra Hardawar.
I'm Deputy Editor Cherlynn Lowe.
This week, it's all about the iPad Pro and the new iPad Air. There's a big Apple event this week, although I guess not really big, right? It was just a video stream, but we reorient our entire lives around it. And there were also events in New York and London for people to go on and try that out. So we'll be diving into Apple's new iPads and kind of what they mean, because this new iPad Pro is kind of interesting, just the way Apple is positioning it and thinking about it. So we'll be diving into all that. Also, the Pixel 8a, also some news from Sony and Xbox and everybody. But as always, folks, if you're enjoying the show, please be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice. Leave us a review on iTunes. Drop us an email at podcast@engadget.com. Always love your feedback. And if you are just listening on the audio, let's see that again. And we also typically live stream the show Thursday mornings around 10:30 a.m. Eastern on our YouTube channel. So, follow us there. Keep an eye out for that. Timing may change, but I usually update that on social media. So I'm at Devindra on Twitter. Okay. Let's talk about these new iPads, which we have been waiting. I feel like we've had iPad stuff prepped, Cherlynn, for a couple of weeks because the MacBook Air
we keep
event
expecting
happened.
it.
We keep expecting it, and it also feels like we're getting close to WWDC. But this was the week Apple finally debuted the new iPad Pros, which have an M4 chip, OLED displays, the first time outside of the iPhone and Apple Watch for Apple to be using OLED. Also a wild new OLED display. They're calling it tandem OLED because it's essentially two OLED panels on top of each other, which is one of those I guess the technology has existed before, but this is one of those Apple-y things of everybody complains about the thing about OLED is that it's not bright enough. And in some ways it doesn't feel as luminous as LEDs or especially mini LED which can get really, really bright. But you put two OLED panels on top of each other, then you get to something really interesting. So the display is interesting. The build is interesting because it's using OLED. These are crazy thin tablets. So there's a new 11-inch iPad Pro and 13-inch, which is really just a 12.9-inch, and they're just rounding up. The screen size hasn't changed at all, I believe. But we have those. But because they're using OLED, Apple has also been able to make them thinner than before and lighter. The 13-inch, I think, is particularly impressive because they're saying it is a quarter-pound lighter than before. It is also the thinnest device Apple has ever made. It is 5.1 millimeters thick. That is thinner than an iPad Nano. If you're going to get pedantic, I saw people talking about this on Twitter. It's not thinner than an Apple Card. It's not thinner than the Apple credit card, but that's not
no, don't even. The memes were great because there was someone that was like, let's be honest, this is the thinnest thing Apple ever made. And then they pointed to a SIM ejector tool. And I was like, well, I mean,
Apple Card is technically, that's the thinnest thing Apple has ever made, but not
Apple
device.
itself made. It's different, yeah.
So the wording is funny. We have hands-on from Nathan Ingram, who was in New York to do the event and to talk to people there and to actually test out these devices. But these just look really interesting. So we'll talk about the Airs in a bit. There are two new iPad Airs. But what do you think, Cherlynn, of this iPad Pro? Of it is $200 more expensive than before, has a ton new hardware, has a flagship, the new chip before anything else.
I was going to say,
yeah.
To me, that's the actual interesting piece of news here, right? That the M4 debuted on the iPad Pro. I think for me, the iPad Pro had reached a point of it's already really nice. I'll have to see it in person to really decide if that whole super thin and maybe it's a bit lighter situation makes a big enough difference to be wow, I'm so truly impressed. This is really worth the $200 delta. But to Tony Talks' point in the live chat, right? He's they're who was asking for the iPad to be so thin though? And I'm yes. Why did I know that getting rid of bezels at some point was good for aesthetics, but and also for an immersive viewing experience. But then my thumbs had to relearn where to be placed on the screen.
That's true. And the iPhones actually got thicker, right? As Apple reached a point with the iPhone, they got thicker because they had to cram in different materials and build them differently too. And I didn't mind it. I actually thought it felt nice to have a weightier iPhone in my hand. Just it felt more substantial in a way.
It depends really for Yeah, for a device like the iPad Pro, like is thinness such a big issue? Is weight such a big issue, especially at the point it's currently at? Like your whole use case for a device like this is on your lap, in the on the plane, on the tiny tray table, that sort of thing.
But you're holding
We're
it
already at a
because it's a
point where it
tablet.
fits.
Yeah.
Right, we're not really well for holding as a tablet, yes, but how many? Okay, maybe sound off in the chat or
Yeah.
send us an email at podcast@engadget.com. But like, are you using the iPad Pro more as a tablet or as a like a 2-in-1 stand-in,
I would,
like a laptop
yeah.
replacement type?
I mean, the way I've historically used any iPad is that they are sold as a tablet, they're positioned as a tablet, right? The
Sure,
OS is
yeah.
built around the tablet experience. So I do think the idea of a 13-inch iPad Pro always seemed a little ridiculous to me, like way back since when they started doing this. It was too expensive, it was too large, and like we've all handled like 13, 15-inch 2-in-1s. I'm never gonna use this as a tablet. I'm never gonna hold it up and use it as a tablet. But to shave a quarter pound off the 13-inch, to bring the 11-inch under a pound, it does make a difference when you're on
Yeah.
a plane and like you don't always have space on your tray table to put something down, right? So
Right.
you may have to hold the tablet in your hand, or you're just sitting in bed and there's like nowhere to like put it down, so you're holding the device. I
Sure.
think the holdability of the 13-inch is interesting, but yeah, it's not. These things are already super thin. They're already super thin. They're already
My
pretty
thing
light,
yeah.
you know? Yeah.
My thing is if you want something that hangs out in your, like, hands, right? And something that's, like, lightweight for that sort of multimedia consumption use, you have the iPad Air. There's, like, other things that don't need to have the Pro label. You don't need something as powerful. So why is thin and light so important? It's the same thing as, like,
Yeah.
15 and 16-inch notebooks. We like them for their power. We like them for the big screens. We like them for battery life. We don't need to tote them around all the time. So size isn't that big of a deal. Like, it's a
It's
big deal,
nice.
yes.
Yeah.
But it's not big enough to like we have to be
Mhm.
fighting for the Guinness Book of World Records sort of situation here, you know?
I don't know. And also this is all tied, by the way Apple presented this idea is this the ad where they crushed a lot of things like instruments and toys and all things together to symbolize like, hey, like those old YouTube crush videos and the TikTok
Yeah.
crush videos. Hey,
Gosh.
we got all this in the iPad now. It is, I think Apple's a very good company at marketing, but man, did they misread this particular one.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you've seen Cherlynn, because all people are doing online
I've
now
seen
is
all the commentary, yeah.
hating this ad, because symbolically it is everything artists and professionals are worried about, is that a company like Apple with devices like these, which they're also touting AI in this in the M4 chip because it has really high level AI processing, it is a symbolization of technology crushing the liberal arts. And I think Apple has always been a company, like back from the Steve Jobs thing, what differentiated it was like, hey, we're not just a gray IBM PC box. We're not just freaking Windows here, boring ass nerds.
Right.
We are people who like music, we like art, we like design, well-designed technology, and that has always been the idea. So I saw somebody who kind of, they fixed the ad by just reversing it. And that is actually kind of brilliant, because so it starts with the crush thing. It opens up, you see the iPad, and then out of that comes all the stuff, all the instruments, all the artwork, everything that would spring out of an iPad. And I just think symbolically, that's an easy fix. And it should have, I wish somebody at Apple had looked at this and been like, just do it the other way. We want this to be full of things, not to be literally crushing people's hopes and dreams and art, right?
Yeah, the reverse is true. This is actually very accurate. I do like there is quite a conversation going on the live chat. Jonathan Anderson, when we were talking about the thinness of the iPad Pro, by the way, was like, "But can you cut bread with it?" And I'm like, "Yo, Apple, if you like did an ad with the iPad slicing bread, I would be like, best thing."
You could totally you could cut bread with this. You could cut tofu with this. Like this is a good
so
like I
much
like
stuff.
a nice dull edge for this. Shout out to
And then-
Reza. I just want to shout out the person who did the reverse ad is Reza 60 Safai, who's an actor who's worked on movies like A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. So good idea. Simple idea.
Also, Jonathan Anderson and Mark Dell are both pointing out, and I'm sure we will get to this later in the episode, but the Air is actually heavier than the Pro. The Pro is literally lighter than the
we've written
Air.
it. Yeah,
we
so
will be getting there soon.
Literally, the title of that post is "The Pro is lighter than Air" now, and
yeah,
it is funny. I've seen some Apple Apple fanboys and Apple people who really focus on Apple for reporting are like, "Hey, Air was just a name, man. It's not literally supposed to be the life." I'm like, guys, I think Apple itself is a little confused with its own messaging here. Another thing I want to mention about the Pro, and I ended up writing a follow-up piece after they announced this, is that there's also a new Magic Keyboard, and I think for me, the new Magic Keyboard kind of looks sick as hell. Like, because it has an
Right.
aluminum top cover, it has the function row, it has a larger touchpad. So it looks like the key like board basically of a MacBook. And to me, like, we're getting closer to that
Yeah.
idea of, hey, this device doesn't need to be so thin, but it is incredibly thin. It is very powerful. Has a like one of the best screens, most likely, that Apple has produced because it's
Right.
freaking OLED. To have a device like this that just like slips into a tote bag or something, to me, I just feel like that's the future in a way.
Yeah.
So like it was definitely hitting my like gadget lust sensibilities of like all the years I spent looking at the iPad Pro and saying, this is kind of silly. It's too expensive. The 13
Mhm.
is just too big. Who really needs all this power in a tablet? I don't think Apple has ever really proven that, even though they've shown us a couple apps like Final Cut, right? Um,
Mhm.
I don't think people really needed that, like a super powerful tablet, basically.
Yeah.
But I'm now it's like Inception. Like the idea is now in my head of like, this is what if? What if I could just live entirely on this beautiful, gorgeous, thin machine that does everything I want? Like, it sounds nice. It's not
Yeah.
realistic. It's nice. Yeah.
I mean, I think we're circling around the same question again, which is like the iPad
Mhm.
Pro seems super powered, and do we need a tablet that's as super powered as this? Like, I don't think
Mhm.
I have an answer for it. Question, Devindra, for
Mhm.
also from the chat, Mark Dell said, did they remove some cameras from the iPad Pro?
That's a good question. I don't know if they removed cameras because the rear is just it is a new sensor plus they're saying it is a True Tone flash. So better
Yeah.
for scanning documents, which is
Yeah.
apparently a thing Apple is selling. So if you show a document in front of the camera app, it will like do a better job of capturing that.
Seems like they
Um
removed the ultra wide camera on the iPad, which some people are sad about in our chat, and I'm like, I don't
what you have
know.
your phone for, people. Like the rear camera on an iPad has always been like, hey, just you're
Am I
talking to
judging
somebody,
you?
yeah, point it.
Maybe a
I don't
bit.
know. I feel like that's what a phone for. They did move the webcam to the side, to the
Yes, the
landscape.
horizontal bezel.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
horizontal bezel side. So that's a good move. I have a 10th gen
that's
iPad,
good.
and that was really
Finally.
nice. Like, because I spend every night at dinner, I have to FaceTime my parents so my kids can talk to them. So that has been a really useful thing, change in my life. So that's the iPad Pro. They're incredibly powerful, but they're also so much more expensive. The
Yeah.
11-inch starts at $999. The 13-inch
Jeez.
starts at $1299. At least they come with 256 gigabytes of storage now, but
At the base model, yeah.
at the base model. But the
Oof.
price is still kind of messy because then you have to spend another $300 or $350 for the Magic Keyboard if you want that. Do you want different types of storage? Do you want like the cool nano etch screen that Apple's talking about? Well, then you got to pay for the 1 terabyte option,
Right.
which really rockets up the price to the point where it's like you're paying for a MacBook basically. That's
Yeah.
what it kind of feels
Yeah.
like. That seems like
You made a
overkill. Yeah.
you made a point in your piece, right? That like if you want to get the specs and the accessories to turn this into sort of a decent
Mhm.
laptop replacement, you're paying like close to $2,000, and that you might as well get a very good laptop. Like you could get a very thin and light, very powerful laptop with a proper keyboard and
Mhm.
like in some cases a touchscreen. Question from the chat again, sorry, because
Mhm.
there's just
It's okay.
such great questions. Chuck D is like, can we play GTA 5 on the iPad Pro?
Did they release it on mobile? I don't know if they released
I
it.
mean, I
You
think
you could
theoretically,
stream
I'm
it. You
asking.
could stream it
Yeah.
to the iPad. Listen, these are just like they're just screens now. So if you use something like the Steam Link remote app or the PlayStation remote app, or just play stuff on other services like Xbox Cloud Gaming, I don't think GTA is there. But if you can cloud game GTA, you could do it that way.
Right.
The iPad stuff is getting better, or the Apple chips are getting better at full-fledged games. So I've seen Resident Evil
Mm.
4 and Resident Evil Village playing like full
Yeah.
scale. I played Life of P on several like MacBooks and stuff recently, even the MacBook Air. So you can play a lot of games on these. I believe the thing about GTA 5 is that it is what Sony console exclusive now. Like when it or no,
You're
it's on
asking the wrong
everything.
person,
GTA
I'm
5.
sorry.
GTA 5 is on everything. I don't know. I have to check the App Store. I can't do that in the
Yeah.
middle of this recording. But I do know like the GTA collection, the smaller games came out on the App Store, so that was a whole thing. You can play a
Hmm.
lot of games on these. Like that's the ultimate takeaway. It's not primarily a gaming machine, but Apple is getting to the point where you could do a lot more gaming on an iPad or any other devices, to be
Yeah.
honest. Yeah.
Well, I think we're like we've covered the iPad Pro, and I think
Mhm.
without really delving into a full review, we just haven't
Yeah.
got a lot more to
You like the
say. But the
pencil.
iPad,
Did you have something
I
to say on
was
the
gonna
pencil?
say
Yeah.
there was a whole new pencil,
Mhm.
Pencil Pro, and like look, going into the event, it was like there were rumors there's gonna be a new pencil, and I was like, why is that exciting? And then the news came out, and it was like, we have a squeeze sensor in the barrel now, and also there was one more thing. I just got so caught up in the whole squeeze thing that I was like, wait, what? You want to squeeze a pencil? And then if y'all saw our social media at Engadget on Instagram, I think, the caption that went up was like, oh yeah, the new pencil has a squeeze barrel, and then the part where it's like, just don't be weird, that part was me. I was like,
Mhm.
just you guys don't be weird with this, like don't get weird with your pencils.
I mean,
What is
I
the
don't.
squeeze?
Where is your mind going, Cherlynn? You have other styluses have had squeeze gestures before.
But like what are you squeezing out? Is it like
What?
toothpaste? Are you squeezing ink out? You
You're
know what I mean? Like
squeezing.
it's
You're squeezing to like make.
I
It's
know,
like
it's just like, look, I'm
the
not
thing.
as dumb as I
I
seem,
know. I know.
but it's just to
I don't.
me
Now you're
really
making me
funny.
worried. So we
Well,
did
good
do a
thing I
piece,
don't
by the
manage
way.
anybody.
Shout out to Jeff Dunn's piece. The Apple Pencil
Yes.
lineup is a mess. So here's a guide to which one you should buy. It is true. There are several. There's the Pencil Pro, which is this new
Yeah.
one, right? The Apple Pencil second generation, the Apple Pencil USB-C. There are other pencil-like devices out there. I have the Logitech Crayon, which I really like. My daughter has really
Okay.
liked that one for doing like drawing and stuff. So you have got a bunch of stylus options. And again, that's also something you can't do on a MacBook, right? So why would you buy a super power or super expensive iPad Pro? If you're a creative who already has like a super beefy ass machine at work, at
Yeah.
home or the
Like a
office,
Wacom.
where yeah,
Right.
and you just need to like do stuff on the go, and your company is paying for the craziest machine you can think of, then yeah, sure, makes sense. And then you can do some stylusing stuff too. But yeah, okay, pencil done. iPad Air. We have a new 11-inch iPad Air, a new 13-inch iPad Air. The thing about these iPad Airs is that they're basically just the M2 iPad Pros, right? They just
That's
took
what I
that hardware
hear.
down. Yeah. They
Yeah.
took that hardware down. They don't have Face ID sensors. They also don't have something else I was thinking of that they don't have. But okay, basically stripped down iPad Airs starting at what, $599? That
I'm
sounds
not
about
sure
right.
what that. Yeah,
Mhm,
I do.
mhm,
I think there's one thing we forgot on the
mhm.
iPad Pro. By the way, wasn't there some
We
kind of
could come back to
textured
it.
glass on the screen?
I talked about that nano textured glass. If you want that, that's
Does it
not super
feel?
important, but if you want that, that is another $100 you're spending.
Ah,
So,
that's another upgrade you did say in your post.
mhm,
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to touch it to find out for myself. But you're right. Like the iPad Air is the M2 without those things that you mentioned. And then I think Jonathan Anderson in the chat saying that is
mhm.
no OLED as well.
No OLED. No, oh, that's the other thing. It doesn't have ProMotion. So
Yes, 120 Hz.
now,
Yeah.
now your choice is right. iPad Air 11-inch starts at $599. I have seen the M2 iPad Pro refurbished or used on
Hmm.
eBay for around the same price. And if it's like
Yeah.
between those specific models, I would say get a used iPad Pro, because
Right.
ProMotion, the high refresh rate makes a big
Oh
difference.
yeah.
That is a higher quality screen, I believe, too, because those were mini LED screens. And I don't
Mm.
care about Face ID, but hey, you get Face ID too. I just
I like
still
Face
think
ID. Yeah.
it's fine. I mean, with an iPad, it's probably fine because you're not like wearing a mask. You're not. It's not like your phone where you may be outside wearing a mask or something. And it's like tough to get to. Yeah, kind of makes more sense. What do you think of the new Airs though? Because there's a 13-inch for the first time. They're now $599 and $799, which are significantly cheaper than the Pros. And we have talked about
Yeah.
how the Pros are just like they're so expensive, and I don't even think Apple has really tapped into all the power that they offer everybody. And at the base level, the Tension iPad still around. That is now $349, right? So
Yeah.
the deal hound to
That's
me is like
crazy.
you can do a lot with a Tension iPad. You could do a
Yeah.
lot with those things. So
That's okay. So
yeah.
we're reaching like Samsung territory over here,
Hmm,
right? We're
hmm,
reaching the point where like remember we gave Samsung a lot of crap in the past for like so having so many different phones for so many different segments that it gets very confusing. Like the choice is even harder. And I think that's where we're at with the iPad lineup right now. I wonder if like I think we were thinking about doing sort of a guide as to like
hmm.
what iPad should you buy? Who is the iPad Air for? Like that sort of idea. And like the iPad Air is it's like, who is it for? If you're listening, if you're watching, leave us a note. Like, would you buy the iPad Air? And if so, why? Like, what are you using to justify that price,
I
that
can see it.
$599 price over the $349 for the 10th gen
Mhm.
iPad? Or why
Mhm.
aren't you upgrading to the Pro? Like,
But
I
the
don't
Pro's
understand.
so much more expensive. Like by the time you
It
start
is.
like speccing the Pro, like it is almost twice the price of what an iPad Air would cost you. I've seen this because I've had this like thought in my head, like I would love a super light writing machine that I can take anywhere. That's not like carrying around the laptop, right?
Yeah, sure.
And so what I ended up doing is I got a 10th gen iPad and one of those Logitech like combo folding cases, and it's fine, but it's not like great. It doesn't feel good
Yeah.
for typing. Whereas with the Air, it is a better design, it's a better screen. It's I think the screen just looks nicer, and you have the option of the other Magic keyboards, right? So you have the older Magic keyboard, you have other better keyboard options. So I feel like for people who want to be productive and want something more than the basic ass, 10th gen
Right,
iPad,
right.
that's the thing. My daughter is starting to play Minecraft a lot, and I didn't think anything would really use the power of like even the modern 10th gen iPad, but it's great to be able to load a huge Minecraft map really quickly. Like people are
Mhm.
doing more with iPads. I've seen people video editing on iPad Airs and iPad Pros. I know people who base their entire work lives around iPad Pros and can even
Mm.
produce podcasts from them and edit them too. So it is getting there. Like Apple is
Sure.
getting there towards this sort of dream of like supreme mobile computing, but at the same time, like if you want to really get work done, you need a MacBook. You need a
Yeah.
desktop OS. It's just funny to see Apple have these two tracks, and then the Air is just sitting there in the middle. So I don't know. Yeah, podcastinggadget.com will let us know, what would you use an iPad Air for? Would would a used Pro make more sense? I think it does,
Yeah,
to be honest.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're good for this segment, right?
Give me a
Mhm.
minute to go turn on my effing AC.
Go turn on your AC. Cherlynn's melting here. Chat, how are
My
we doing,
face is melting down.
everybody? Welcome to iPad time, iPad talk. The software is limited. That's something we didn't fully bring up here, but in my piece, like I'm imagining, we've seen Stage Manager, right? In the last version of iPadOS also did a better job of letting you like drag and drop windows and stuff. But I think the real dream of multitasking on a phone or tablet or whatever may lie in like the local AI models that we're hearing about. So that's the other thing too. I think those things could actually change the way we compute in better ways, especially for a device like this where you don't want to be juggling multiple windows. So let us know, everybody. I'm gonna look at some questions here.
I think there were a lot of
Mhm.
questions, by the way.
I see. iPad Mini may need an upgrade. People are saying this is true. Um, I feel weird about the Mini because it is a really nice device and it's a good price, but also you can get the larger iPhone, right? Or you could get the larger iPhone Pro, which I have. I've got the Pro Max now, and that to me feels like it's almost to the point of like an iPad Mini. Okay, I cannot hear you, Ben.
I muted myself. Oh, I
Yeah,
can't
that's
hear
good.
Ben
I
either.
can't hear Ben.
I will bring up that what a thanks to everyone who was like, Tim Cook needs to make an iFan or an iFan Air. I'm like, yes, I am
iPad
here
Air.
for it. I do not want to be that Apple basic bee, but I will get an iFan if it does something different. However, I will say I think
That's what
Dyson
Dyson's
is
for.
the
That's Dyson.
exactly. I'm like
Yeah.
Dyson is the Apple of the home appliance like market. Like
It's true, although worse build quality because as much as Dyson hypes up their
really.
stuff, I think they have good tech, but it's all plastic, yo. Like that's the thing I can't stand with Dyson. Like
I
I'm
know, but
spending
their
eight
stuff
hundred
lasts
dollars.
really long though.
It
They're like
does, but
they're beauty appliances anyway.
you drop it once, and like your Dyson B8 or V10,
Mhm.
whatever stick vacuum will like start to get cracks, like mine has them. I still love them, but
Yeah.
build quality, man. It's build
Yeah.
quality. That's the whole
Sure.
thing. I cannot hear
Um
you, Ben. Have you muted yourself elsewhere?
oh, sorry guys.
Ben is still talking.
I can't hear
Yep.
you, Ben. Kiona Ramos in the chat says, I want the Air because I want the 12.9-inch screen, but I am a basic user who uses GoodNotes for everything. And you
Good.
know what? Fair point.
That's a use case. If you just want a
Uh,
bigger tablet, that's the thing. Yeah.
is the screen size for you? That's fair.
Mhm.
Um, Lucky Dog Podcast says that they have an older Pro and still find it lacking. It's too big and you still can't edit videos on it. You need a computer. Yeah, for some people. You know what we're finding out is that different people have different needs and y'all just gonna buy
Different
the
people
thing
have
that's
different
for
needs.
you.
But also the software, I think people are right. The software has to catch up. Like Apple has been
Yeah,
producing these
absolutely.
super powerful tablets. Like the M2 iPad Pro is a killer and faster than most like PC laptops. But what are you going to do with it? You know?
Yeah.
So I think like
I see.
yeah,
Yeah, go on.
more
Well,
software that deals with like the head.
yeah, I
Hey
can hear
Ben,
you, Ben.
now we can hear
Good,
you.
thank you.
Yep. More software that deals with like the stuff I don't want to think about. So I
Mhm.
think we've talked about local AI models. We've talked about all sorts of stuff, but imagine like you go on vacation, you're out for the day and you have a load of photos and you don't want to like, I don't want to process these. I don't want to do the organization, the stuff.
Yeah.
To have something smarter that could just be like, okay, cool. Here's who you were hanging out with today. Let's collect a bunch of these photos. Let's brighten up some of these images or whatever. Do you want to share this to your group of friends or something? Like just make that stuff
Right.
easier. Video editing should just be, I shouldn't even have to think about it, right? Like you recorded a bunch of clips and Apple already does this via cloud processing, the sort of like memories of your old photos and stuff.
Yeah.
But to have that happen on device
Yeah.
quickly, like
Yeah.
as you're doing stuff, that would be
I
cool.
mean,
So, yeah.
there's a lot of this that I don't want to beat a dead
Mhm.
horse again and again, but I always say these things we think of as AI have existed forever.
Mhm.
These like template videos, themes where they sort through your videos and photos and create things for you have been around forever. So like I guess the difference would be like they're capable of more things, right? They can generate like
Mhm.
captions and like, you know, like title slides and whatnot even better than before. I'm just like, I for the people who want to make their own stuff with a bit more control, I think I'm the sort of person that would never cede that to AI, that sort of creative.
I don't know. So yeah, I've been reading too much AI stuff now. It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
I kind of see like where we're going, and it's
fair,
it is
fair.
scary, and it's sort of like, yeah,
You
it
ready
is.
to give up to our AI overlords?
You kind of there are things you have to give up, right? You had to give up
Yeah,
to the mouse. Like you had to give up the command line interface to get a mouse to interact
yeah,
with the
yeah, yeah.
GUI, and that meant giving up control, right? We had to connect all the
Right.
computers online to have like a global internet. That gave
Yeah,
up the
I
control of
miss a
researchers who
control
just had like
panel.
a nice little personal network to work with.
I like
That's a
to.
whole
I mean, they
yeah,
still establish their own personal
they
networks to
do.
play with
They
now,
do.
though.
But yeah,
Jonathan
So
Anderson, like you said the iPad Mini got no love, and then Mark
no love.
replied saying that I always feel like Apple talks about the Mini with disdain, like they just hate that they even have that product. And I want to point out that
Mhm.
here's my theory. It's a big conspiracy theory that may never come to fruition, and it is that they are working on making the iPad Mini fold.
I mean, those have been the rumors. So where
Yes,
would
and
you
I
put a
think
nice little foldable? Yeah, right there.
exactly right there, and I think that
Mhm.
that's why they can't talk about it for a little bit. But sorry, Ben, I interrupted.
No, go ahead.
oh yeah, don't worry about it. So Shownuff asks,
Show enough.
does
Show
the
enough.
iPad Pro have full spatial audio?
Does it?
I
Is that the
can only
question?
imagine that it probably does, but
I
don't
mean,
quote me on that.
I think spatial audio is a thing that they say all over the place.
Yeah.
On a device that thin and that small, like they can virtualize surround sound, but the only true sense of spatial audio you'll get with iPads or whatever is with AirPods or with like the AirPods
Mhm.
Max. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
need headphones to like really get those things.
Yeah,
But
and I
good
think
question.
you actually need also like two speakers. So
They may
for
have two speakers, but like
two speakers, like a
mhm,
decent
width apart,
length
like a
apart.
different.
Yeah.
Because
So
even on like the MacBook Air and a lot of the other MacBooks, like you get a sense of like virtualization. You get like a sense of like audio behind you at times. It's really weird how that stuff works. But you can only do so much with a super thin iPad, I'd say.
I remember being shocked at how good the speakers on
Hmm.
my M1 MacBook
Yeah,
Pro were. Like,
exactly.
Cut is like, with how thin the iPad is, you could fan yourself with it. I'm like, yes, dream
You could.
goals.
You could.
Um, Tony Talks has a lot of people are like talking about the OS, by the way, and they're all very valid
Yes.
opinions, which is that iPadOS is crap, not great for like multitasking. Someone
Hmm.
said, I wish Apple would put Windows on iPads. Someone said, I wish
Good luck with that.
HUD, I think, sorry, who is it? Oh, Tony Talk says, I know Apple will never do this, but I wish they would offer a Mac OS option, like a hybrid device of sorts. So like, yeah,
They
Mac
would
OS on an iPad Pro and you connect the keyboard on.
not.
That would be like when Chrome OS is
Mhm.
trying to do the whole like Android Chrome thing.
I would see it
Never
not
really
as like a
happened.
dual boot option, but maybe if they let you just virtualize macOS and be like, okay, you damn productivity
Yeah.
nerd. Sure, here is a
Yeah.
little virtual window. You could go and look, there's a dock.
Which
Isn't that
is
nice? Yeah.
not to give Samsung too much credit here, but basically Dex. And someone else in the chat was like, it
How
needs a
dare
Dex
you?
mode. And
How
you're
dare
not
you?
wrong.
That's why Apple won't do it, by the way, because they have
Yeah.
seen, I mean, we've all seen what Samsung has done with Dex. Honestly, we've seen what Microsoft has done with the Surface too, and that is
God,
full
yeah.
Windows in a tablet, and they've done okay, but they have not like lit
Mhm.
the world on fire. I don't think people love their Surfaces. So the other thing about the iPad Pro that really compels me is that this is like the full dream of the Surface.
Yeah.
Not a full desktop OS, but a really compelling, mobile computer or
Yeah.
laptop replacement. Anyway, we got to move on.
Yes.
Yep.
Let's go.
Got to talk about Pixel 8a.
Pixel 8a. I'll let you bring
Yeah.
that in, Cherlynn. Okay. All right, enough of Apple stuff. Let's talk about some Google stuff. And Google, in its complete wisdom, right, really just want to take on Apple with Apple's big news. Is like, hey, no,
I argue with the
I know the dates were set
chronological
before.
order of things.
Yes, I know
Because
the
I'm like,
dates
I
were set
think,
before. Yeah,
yeah, I think Apple announced it after Google set up plans with us in the background, but I couldn't be
sure.
100% sure on that.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm not privy to all that, but it does look kind
Yeah.
of funny. The same day
Yes,
we
it
got
does.
the iPads, Google has announced the Pixel 8a, the cheaper Pixel 8. It's $499. Has a really nice OLED screen.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
going on with that, Cherlynn?
Yeah. I mean, this is basically everyone's favorite A series device, but for 2024, it is a big Pixel 8a. For $500, you're getting a 120 hertz OLED screen, which, by the way, gives like I'm concerned about the battery life because of that. Like, it's a lot of upgrades in one generation to the display, and we always used to like the A series for their like just never-ending battery. So we have to wait till we do a full review to find out. But I mean, on paper, it's very interesting. And Sam Rutherford, our senior reviewer, went and took a look at it, got a hands-on with it. You can see the video on our YouTube channel for yourself. But here's a 6.1 inch OLED screen, which is slightly smaller than the Pixel 8 from last year, which is 6.2 inches. And it has kind of like larger bezels on the 8A. So like in terms of the handset size itself, I think it's about the same as the 8, but the screen is just surrounded by slightly thicker bezels on the cheaper phone. And then you get all those AI features that you saw on the Pixel 8. So things like, I guess, Magic Editor, which is technically free to everyone now, but like if you're not a subscriber to Google One or a Pixel owner, you have like a limit of 10 saves a month. Whereas if you own a Pixel phone like the 8 or the 8A, there's no like limit. You can go ham. But yeah, those AI
By the way,
features.
sorry, Cherlynn. Fair warning: there is a big storm happening around me right now, so if we lose power, the stream will die. Just fair warning, everybody.
Oh my gosh! All the stream people, just if we goodbye in advance, just in case.
Just in case, I don't know. There was tornado warning around me, and I drove through a big storm this morning, so we'll see.
If we disappear, we love you, and send us emails podcast@engadget.com. Okay, back to Pixel talk. So the biggest thing you'll miss from like the Pixel 8 Pro and Pixel 8 on the Pixel 8a is like a pro camera mode. So pro camera controls manual like adjustment of shutter speed, ISO, white balance, and all those stuff. The 8a also has just the same T wireless charging standard, which is 7.5 watts, not the new like up to 18 watts on wireless charging on some other phones. And there's no actual dedicated telephoto lens on the Pixel 8a. So if you really need a camera that you can rely on during concerts and whatnot, there is digital zoom, but the quality isn't going to be as good as something like a dedicated telephoto lens is going to offer. So, I mean, this is by all like impressions so far a really solid looking phone for the money.
$500, really nice features.
Yeah. $500, a 120 hertz OLED screen. First time for the Pixel A series, not say in this price range altogether, but I don't know. I've always liked the A series, so I'm very intrigued to see. However, I will just allude to something. I will come back and bring this point back up on the podcast later on, but just know that it's not fun to have an embargo review go up on the same day as iPad launch.
Yeah, not fun. Not fun. This is sometimes the news. Like sometimes we're begging for news, and sometimes we were like flooded with it, and we're just dying. So anyway, folks, Pixel 8a seems really nice, and I don't know. I kind of don't know where this fully sits in the Android ecosystem at this point. But how does it compare to like the cheaper Samsung models we talked about, Cherlynn?
I mean, I couldn't give you like a direct specs
Mhm.
comparison right now, but I will say that like for me,
You know, AI
software
could
is
give you that direct specs comparison right now, Cherlynn.
no, they would do it
Just
wrongly
to
too,
help
just
you out,
FYI.
just to help you out.
They would give me the wrong specs.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
I gotta say, like Pixel and Samsung, you'll see the same kind of battle in their flagship phones and in their affordable phones, which is that Pixel will always give you, and this is slightly subjective, but like for me, a better camera experience. I prefer the Pixel camera experience. And if you're a Samsung fan, fine. It's almost like parity nowadays, except for in low light. Okay.
You get a
The
better
other
zoom experience on Samsung, right? They're good on the zoom.
hardware wise, yes, they're
Yeah.
actually good. But I have to say, Google has a better like cleanup in terms of software. They have better like that's why Night Sight is such a like crazy good thing. Is because software wise, noise reduction on Google's processing algorithms is much better, cleaner. Anyway, the other area that I think Google has the advantage is they often always have better software. And with all the AI features that we saw come out on the Pixel 8, even though Samsung has done its best to mimic a lot of it in the S24 series, I still think the Pixel UI has my heart. I think I like features like call screening. I like features like recorder. You know, I just charged up the Pixel 8 sitting at in my living room just to use it during the iPad Pro event because having a live transcription as the show is being broadcast is very helpful to me because I can always go back and see what I missed when I was assigning a story or something like I'm like, oh yeah, that's what they said on screen.
This, by the way, is
typing.
so nice AI feature that helps you like work better too. I actually
Yes.
did that during the iPad event by just like
Exactly.
having my iPhone like open on Evernote and just I hit the dictate thing. I was like, just do your thing.
Yes,
And
exactly.
it is helpful for going back and
It's
looking at
so
notes.
helpful.
Yeah.
It's so helpful. And like this is my pro tip for everyone if you have a Pixel phone, especially or an Android phone that you can get the recorder app on. I'm not quite sure actually if it's limited to Pixel phones only right now. They've trickled down so many of their apps and features. But if you have Google's recorder app and you're taking a meeting that's going to run very long and you know you're not going to be paying full attention the entire time, leave your recorder app on and then flip over to the transcript page because then you can just scroll back up and read what
Oh, it
was
can also
said like 2 minutes
summarize
ago.
it for you now too, right? Or
It
is
can
that
also
not doing that?
summarize at
Yeah.
the end of it, like
Okay.
not live. But this I'm talking about live. Like literally like right now when you and I are talking to Devindra, if someone on chat had like the recorder app transcript going, they could scroll back up and see what we just said
This is
without
true.
having to
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
affect the stream, which
I
I
just
think is
like
a power
what's
feature.
the what's the term people have been using for like for quiet quitting? Sherlynn's tips for quiet quitting and not paying attention to work is use AI to record all your meetings and make
You
it
heard it
seem like
here
you're paying
first
attention.
on the Engadget Podcast.
This
Cherlynn loves
explains a
quiet
lot,
quitting.
actually. This explains a lot of my meetings with Sherlynn. Yeah. Sherlynn's
How to
just like,
fight
wait.
burnout. But
Absolutely.
yeah, that's where I think Google's advantages are even in the like affordable / mid-range phone arena. Samsung obviously continues to have the edge in display, and I think if you want a more iPhone looking device, I guess you can pick the Samsung one because it's got the more rounded rectangle look, and then Pixel's still the Pixel 8a still has that camera bar that looks like a kind of a Cyclops situation in the back. So there you go. Yeah, the Pixel 8a, I think we have to wait for a full review to see about whether that 120 hertz OLED screen saps battery like crazy, and then other performance type things related to Tensor G3, and to see whether it's worth like recommending you all spend your money on. But I know a lot of people have already pre-ordered it.
It's a nice phone. It's a nice phone, especially
Yeah.
for the Android folks. I wish there were more options like this in Apple land other than the
right?
iPhone SE, right? Or yeah, even the base iPhone, I guess, is not that much more expensive, but still. Let's move on to other news. And there's a bunch of stuff out of the gaming world today, or this week. Specifically, I want to talk about what the hell happened to Helldivers 2, which was a sort of unexpected success story for Sony. It's a third-person shooter that they launched. The unique thing is they launched it on PC and PlayStation 5 at the same time. And it ended up kind of being a hit because it's a fun game to play. It has this cool like Starship Troopers sort of like comedy to it. It is like comedy fascism. I don't know how you put it. But it's a fun game. It ended up being a great group game because I've played some multiplayer stuff with my brother. It was supposed to launch with PlayStation Network support, or a requirement to log on to PlayStation Network when it initially launched on Steam, but that didn't happen because the game was super popular and Sony just delayed that integration. But over this week, they brought that back. And when that happened, they did not think Sony did not think that PlayStation Network, even though Helldivers 2 was a game sold to everybody around the world via Steam, PlayStation Network is only available in 73 countries. So the people in the 100 plus countries around the world who don't have PlayStation Network basically had no way to play the game that they spent $40 on. That led to review bombing. That led to a lot of social media hate against the company. I think even the social media manager was like, this sucks. Like they were putting their thoughts out there. I know Ben, podcast producer Ben, has played quite a bit of Helldivers 2, and you've got thoughts on this, but let me just say, this feels like such a Sony move, right? Of like, hey guys, something's working. Something is actually working. Let's but like the Japanese bosses or the corporate bosses will be like, well, we got to get the network there. Like I'm sure somebody with a spreadsheet was like, we got to get those PSN numbers up, and this popular game was the way to do it. So let's just do it, right? No problem.
Yeah, I think
right?
the thing that Jess mentioned in her article about monthly active users on PlayStation Network was exactly right. Excuse me. I also saw. Sorry. This is live broadcasting. Sorry about
what
that.
happens.
Okay, so I've also seen some speculation that having the simultaneous PlayStation Network account and also playing on Steam may help the problems that Helldivers was having with its friend request system.
Right. Which is a mess. Yeah.
Helldivers was so janky at the very beginning. I think a lot of stuff broke because it just got way more popular than Arrowhead expected it to be right out of the gate. I think they launched it and they were going to backfill online capability. They were ready for 200,000 simultaneous players. They had way more than that and had to eventually cap it at 450,000 simultaneous players on their network. They were running around with their hair on fire trying to figure out how to just make their servers not melt down.
Also, it's funny, they did not plan for success, right? They did not plan for extreme success with this thing, which feels like another, I don't know, another sort of Sony problems. Like they never treated PCs as a first tier gaming platform. It was always like the games will come out a year or so later, right? So to have a day and date PC and PlayStation release, they did not know how to prepare for that. Yeah.
I think it might also be a smaller developer. So you can say all the bad things you want about, the enormous game studios with, their endless crunch and relatively uninspired, basically Call of Duty 2K25 or whatever. But that thing is built for 1 million simultaneous players on day one.
Yeah, they can spin up cloud servers. They can spin up resources when they need to. And Arrowhead is not a big developer, right? This is not a first party Sony game. This was a game that was kind of supported by Sony as a publisher. Sony has the console exclusivity to it too, so it feels like a Sony game. That's why they wanted all this integration in there. But yeah, what a mess. So basically, right now, Sony has backed down. They're saying there's no place. It's still not available in countries for future sales where there is no PlayStation Network access. So again, still sort of shooting themselves in the foot, and sort of proving hey, just put good stuff out there and don't put all these annoying limitations and content blocks and logins on it, and maybe people will actually want to play your games. I feel like that's a big lesson here.
So 2 things they could have done better. One, of course, only sell the game in the countries where PlayStation Network is going to be available.
Sure.
2, I know this is hindsight being 2020, but if you still require the PlayStation Network login when people are first purchasing and downloading the game at the very beginning of its life cycle, then everyone's okay, this is a little bit annoying, but 2 weeks after they bought the game, they will forget that they have a PlayStation Network login anyway. But they didn't do that. your misfires are your own fault, and yeah, now you have to have a game that is supported all over the place and like figure it out on the back end.
Just hilarious. And also, I mean, listen, we're gonna have some updates on the story, I'm sure. If you are a hardcore Helldivers 2 player and you have thoughts on this, let us know. Engadget.com. We also saw the very sad news this week that Microsoft and Xbox are shutting down several studios. Arcane Austin, the studio behind Redfall, they were working on an update for that. That's done. Tango Gameworks, the one that produced Hi-Fi Rush and Ghostwire Tokyo, that was Shinji Mikami's studio, also shut down. And Alpha Dog Studios, which was working on Mighty Doom, I believe. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing from our report here. All shut down. Staff are going to like move around. These companies came to Microsoft as part of the ZeniMax deal, I believe, the Bethesda thing. Yeah, ZeniMax Media. So it's a whole bunch of things. A lot of layoffs. And what's interesting is that people have been very vocal in their criticism of this, including one of my favorite game developers and people in games right now, Dinga Bakaba. He's the co-creative director of Arcane Leon. They're the studio, they're the Arcane that does the Dishonored games and Deathloop and those other ones. But he specifically said, like, this is absolutely terrible. Permission to be human. To any executive reading this, friendly reminder that video games are an entertainment cultural industry, and your business as a corporation is to take care of your artists and entertainers and help them create value for you. Don't throw us into gold fever gambits. Don't use us as strawmen for miscalculations and blind spots. Don't make our work environments Darwinist jungles. Damn. Like, this is somebody working for Microsoft, basically. Like, directly saying something against the executives. And he's also a well-loved person, so I'm sure he's probably not thinking too much about like his own, like, will they fire him for saying this? I think people have a lot of these feelings. There have also been reporting that the head of Xbox, Matt Booty, the ex-head of Xbox Game Studios, also said that he talked to, I think it was a live stream with the employees, but he had a talk yesterday where he was saying Xbox does need more small games to survive. And people also viscerally hated that because they're like, well, more small games like Hi-Fi Rush from the studio you just shut down. That sort of like commentary, I think, was not well liked. There's also reporting from Bloomberg that more Xbox layoffs are expected. They're offering voluntary severance agreements to producers, quality assurance testers, and other staff. So they are basically trying to get rid of full-time employees in other ways, maybe by paying them off, maybe by moving them to other portions of the company or something. So kind of a rough time for Xbox. This also comes after they have been reporting continual, like, sales declines in hardware. They just have not been, because there aren't really many games to buy on Xbox. If you are a console gamer, you probably want to buy a PlayStation 5, and if you don't care that much, then you will buy a Switch, or you'll wait for the next thing. So just crummy. I know if you have feelings on this, Cherlynn, just bad time for the game industry.
Just think that the whole world is going through it, right? Like, I've heard of layoffs across all the industries. My friend works in the medicine / healthcare / pharma industry, and like they are like going through rounds and rounds of layoffs. And I think it's kind of the expected outcome of the hiring like craziness that happened during the pandemic. Everyone was buying things at home, everyone was watching TV at home, everyone was playing games at home all the time. So those industries boomed, and now compared to 2020 everything feels like a decline, but it's not, right? We were comparing ourselves against a weirdly like high performing year. Why are we comparing ourselves to that? Why are we comparing ourselves at all? Why do we have to grow every year? And well, I mean,
because you got to appease the stockholders. That's why you have to grow and grow and grow and appease the investors. You're right that this is like a problem facing everything right now. I don't know if you saw this story, Cherlynn. Dell, the Register, reported that Dell is color coding staff depending on how hybrid they really are in the RTO push. So they are color coding staff depending on how often they're going to the office. I'm like, oh, this person's more valuable. They're more committed. Are
you serious?
Yeah,
I'm gonna go into the office. I'm going to go to the office at Dell every day just to eat their snacks and do nothing.
Snacks.
Nothing else.
So this has been like an ongoing story for a while. Dell has laid off a bunch of staff too, who they've been basically been more stringent, saying like, you got to return to office. If you're not, you have
That
to leave.
is
You
so
have to leave the
stupid.
company. So this is the latest thing, and just like labeling employees, judging their worth depending on how many times they come to an office, that's really crummy. But it's also kind of a way to like weed out who's really committed, and who is just costing us money by being a remote worker, even though a worker who comes into the office will be costing you money in other ways because
Yeah.
they will be needing snacks and facilities and other things. So
You know,
it's also
I don't know about
stupid.
you, Devindra,
Yeah.
but because when we're back in the office, I am like both
Mhm.
more productive and less productive at the same time in an office
It's
because
just different. Yeah.
I waste a lot of time in the commute, right? Like
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
don't like to type in moving vehicles. I'm not working during my commute. Like
Oh,
screw
really?
that,
Okay.
right? The other well, I mean I'm on Slack, but whatever.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is when I'm in the office in person, I am the sort of person that like I see people, I say hi, we talk, and we
Hmm.
waste another 30 minutes talking to say my boss or like a person that's like in another
Human
department.
connections. Yeah. The
And that
in-person
makes a
connection.
difference. It's also kind of work, but it doesn't
It is.
translate to
It is.
productivity. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So it's to me, it is dumb. I'm
Yeah.
like, don't judge your workers by whether they go to a physical location. Judge them by the quality of the work they put
It's
out.
just
That's it.
what did we learn? Like we have seen this even from the beginning of the pandemic that people were being more productive because they were working from home.
Right.
We've seen the studies where companies who allow flexible work time or even 4-day work weeks, people are more productive in 4-day work weeks because they're like, well, I like being here. I like having Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. So I'm gonna like just focus. I'm gonna like hustle
Mhm.
on what I'm doing because I like this and I'm more committed to it. We've seen all this evidence of treating your workers better is better for productivity and could save you money in the long run, but I don't know. I do think like
Yeah.
sometimes it feels like executives look around, the people who come to the office and who have the nice big offices in the corner, and they see empty
Yep.
rows of seats and they're like, nothing's being done here. Nothing, like this
Or they're
company's not
thinking
doing
about how
anything.
they're
Yeah.
wasting rent or something. I don't know.
I think that's also part of it too, but it is, hey, crummy for Dell. People are widely like, yeah, saying that that's such a mess too. But layoffs in the video game industry, we have charted a whole bunch of that. We've had a running tally for a
Mhm.
while.
Mhm.
Let me see what our number was just for last year. Last year in 2023, an estimated 10,500 people in the video game industry lost their jobs. Prior to to the closures this week, 9,400 people in the game industry have been fired in 2024, and we are not even halfway through the year.
And
So,
here's the thing,
yeah.
we're also only tracking the ones that have, like, a certain number of layoffs happen in one fell
Mhm,
swoop. We're not tracking, say, companies because 'cause I've heard from other friends in other industries that their companies are laying off people, like, 1 a
mhm,
week or a few people at a week, and they, like, coast under that sort of, like, not a big number, radar, I guess,
mhm.
so we're not considering that either.
It's not. It's the other ways of getting rid of workers. There are so many ways that we have experienced personally. So, hey, I hope companies learn to treat workers better because, hey, if you want people to be productive, maybe they should be happy about where they're working. Let's move on to news about, oh yeah, Hades 2 is out in
Mm.
early access. So, hey, rare good news in the game industry. I freaking love Hades 2. I've been playing, I got it like as immediately. This is the direct
What
sequel to
type of
Hades.
game is
Cherlynn, I
this?
feel like you would like these games. Like you would like the first Hades. It is
I've
available on Switch right
heard.
now. You should play it. But it's a very good like roguelike. So it is a game where you're going back and fighting through specific environments which are randomized, but you have to keep going back and doing it. And as you're doing it, like a story unfolds. The original Hades story. This is a game by Supergiant Games, and I have loved everything they've done. I've loved Bastion. I've loved Transistor. They have great art style. They have great music, just great vibes, great writing too. So Hades, you were playing, what was it? The son of Hades, right? Who was trying to leave the underworld and fighting his way through and ultimately has to fight his father. Hades 2 is a direct continuation. I will not say like where it is, but it stars a character named Milenoe, who is also trying to leave the underworld and accomplish a certain goal. She is trying to kill Kronos, the god of time. And it's just such a cool setting. Their artwork is so good. The gameplay feels so good, so crisp. I love it. Like I know I love a game within 5 minutes where I'm like, I love the way this person runs around. I love the way they swing a sword or whatever. I just love the way it feels. And Supergiant has just kind of perfected that. and Hades 2 is like, extra perfection there. Yep.
It sounded from your description like you were telling me about Vampire Survivors a little bit.
I mean, Vampire Survivors is a sort of game similar to this, where you will repeat the same thing over and over again.
Right? Yeah.
But Vampire Survivors is an I don't know what's the term, auto battler. But it's a game where you're not like hitting a button to like swing your
Okay,
sword and
gotcha.
everything. That you're
Okay,
just like
so
moving
you
around.
actually have more that goes into this process.
Hades
Yeah, that's
requires
why.
like coordination and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I won't play it, right? Because you know my type of games. I will tell you later on in the.
I think you could try. I think Cherlynn,
I will
especially,
try.
it has great writing, very attractive characters that appeal to everybody. Like it is very like
and
very sexy game in many ways. Yeah.
let me say something about that real quick. One, it's low-key a dating sim.
It's low-key a dating
Oh,
sim. Yeah.
Which is
But you have to like
reel me in.
fight a bunch of monsters and stuff to like get like little gifts that you can give to romanceable NPCs. Think about that. Just think about that.
Or make
Are they
friends
hot? I mean,
or whatever. What's also cool is
Okay.
that so I've been playing this with my daughter. I'm just spoiling my daughter with games here because it's sort of like
Aw.
we did Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, which we played a couple hours every night. Then Chrono Trigger, we did a bit of Chrono Cross, and then she saw me playing this and she was like, "What is that?" And she is just like in
Aw.
love with the mythology and like, who is this character? Why do they do this? Why do they have these powers? So now she saw this and she's like, okay, I want to read about Greek gods now. I want to know these stories. So I bought her some children's books about Greek mythology, and that's kind of the path we've taken here. But it's because of Hades and how rich it is and how interesting these characters are, and the setting is so cool. Anyway, Hades 2 is great. If you like the first game, you can try it out in early access now on Steam. It is well worth it. Early access means that this is kind of a extended preview of the game. Like things may change, the final version may change certain things. So, sometimes
Okay.
progress gets erased, I think, when they do that, but I don't care. I will play this game over and over again. It is so good.
Oh.
Yeah. Let's move on to what's going on around Engadget. And shout out to Steve Dent, who reviewed the Fujifilm X106 VI.
Gosh, that thing looks so cute. I mean, like
It
the
looks so
pictures came
cute.
out so nice.
I don't know if you're spending the pictures look great. The video looks great. Like I don't know if you're spending time on YouTube like watching camera nerds.
I know people
Cherlynn.
love people love
this camera. People are like going all over for it. I think the problem with the X105 is that it was just never in stock. Like Fuji could not make
and
enough
the
of
6
them.
is also kind of not in stock right now, from
Kind
what
of the
I
same
see.
thing. So
Yeah.
hey, people love the design. I remember I think we were testing like some of these several years ago, and it takes beautiful pictures.
Yeah.
This is a cool looking camera, but damn is it expensive. Like
Yeah.
damn
Yeah,
is
it is really expensive.
Like this is big money. Like if you're an influencer or something, like I think that's why people are into these things, right? Because you can
Yes, it's
get
very
beautiful
influencer
images.
aesthetic.
Yeah, you don't have to go in and like post process too much stuff. Like you get good JPEGs right out of this thing because you're using Fuji's color settings and everything. But damn, is it expensive. Like I spent I justified buying Sony's A7C, which is their compact full frame camera, which is a beautiful camera, but that costs $2,000. This thing is almost at that price. This is a compact, not even full frame, not an interchangeable lens, just a compact, lens with like good image stabilization, has in-body image stabilization, has built-in ND filters for like really bright days and stuff. This is a good pocketable camera. And I'm just like, I cannot justify a price. What was 1,500 now, or close to 1,500. It is a very expensive thing, but damn, does it seem like the perfect camera. 1,600 right now. I also, the other thing people love now is the DJI Osmo Pro 3. And I spent the money on that. So it's like, that is the thing I want to spend time on to do like better
Yeah, I like
video
that
and
one.
produce things. But damn, is this cool. I don't need it, but damn, is this cool. So yeah.
Excuse me.
Are you
Oh my
gonna
God,
get
can we
this one?
just
Do you have a new camera, Cherlynn? Like a newish one?
No, I am still attached to the my Canon EOS. What is it, like a 5D
A
or
full
something? I
DSLR?
don't remember. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
love
still have
a
your
full
full-
DSLR. Don't
No.
even.
Okay, so this camera is made for people like Cherlynn who should be moving on from the
I
old
love the
old
trust.
full
I
ass
wanted to get the
DSLRs.
Fuji. I cannot with Fujifilm's bodies though. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I love a Canon. Like I'm so used to Canon's like controls.
You're not even mirrorless right now. Like you could go to a Canon mirrorless or something. But anyway, yeah, I
Yeah,
do remember
I
seeing
know.
your
I want to
camera.
get
I
a new one.
remember seeing you pull out your camera occasionally, Cherlynn, at events, and it was like,
I know it's huge.
okay,
I
let me get the
love the
forklift out.
click of a DSLR. I just love that shutter going.
You get a great click on mirrorless cameras. Come on, people. Yeah,
I don't care. I like the DSLR
podcastinggadget.com.
click.
It is a good click. It is a very
Yeah.
good click. I love the way those feels, but I also love the way how fast my Sony like clicks and it feels so good. Okay, let's move on to what we're working on. I am at some point I'm gonna do these Surface reviews because we had iPad Day and I had an iPad Thought right after that. That's why I wrote a piece basically saying like I think I want an iPad Pro, which seems insane to me.
I know.
So the Surface reviews are gonna come, or at least a quick one. And we're gonna be prepping for Microsoft's Build event. There's more stuff happening next week. Yeah, a lot of stuff in the works. What about you, Cherlynn?
I am working on, as always, trying to not die.
Please don't.
No, everything.
We need you. Yeah.
Every Yeah, I alluded to this just now when I was like, it's really fun when Pixel and Apple and all happening on the same day. There's that stuff I've publicly mentioned before, things like, hey, look at the calendar of events in
Mhm.
May. And I've said that there's stuff y'all don't know about. The Pixel 8a was one of those things that I
Mhm.
alluded to, but we couldn't say it was coming, right? Because it's under embargo. And so I just want you all to know that next week, what is it, the mid-May? Yeah, that's the mid-May with the teens week of May is literally going to be the worst week for me. I think this first half of the year. It is
Uh-huh.
the worst because
Really?
publicly, just so you all know,
Mhm.
publicly we know that Google I/O is happening May 14th, 15th, maybe even 16th,
Mhm.
sure. And then we know publicly that next week Microsoft is having its Build Developer Conference. Those are things we
Not next
know.
week. Not next week. 2 weeks.
I'm sorry,
The
20th,
week after.
21st.
20.
Not next week, the
20,
week
yeah.
after is what I meant to
20
say.
to 22 is
And
Microsoft news. Yeah.
right. So then we all know that
Mhm.
before the events happen, we prep, we get ready, we brief, we plan. There's
We
also
get very
other
nervous.
events that we
Yeah.
cannot talk about and
Mhm.
happening at the same time. And it's kind of like, think about how that Pixel thing happened. Think about
Uh-huh.
it's happening as
It's
well.
happening. It's all happening.
Next week, I want to kill somebody, and it's not me, and it's not a real person. I just
Uh-huh.
want to squeeze some
This is what you
tech
do in your fitness
industry.
classes, Cherlynn. Don't you just beat things up?
Yes,
Yeah.
I go squeeze sandbags and kettlebells,
And
and
Apple
this
pencils,
is
apparently.
and
There you go.
ooh,
That's
there we
something.
go. Anyhow, that's what I'm working on, and
Okay.
that's what I was trying to
Cherlynn
bring
is
up.
also working on herself, as we all are.
Always,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's it.
Both.
Like, it's just managing this insanity. Like, let me tell you, it's also like after having 2 kids, Cherlynn, also like our workflow and stuff, like managing all
Mhm.
this stuff is just like
Oh,
you just have
I
to
also
learn
wanted
different
to
things.
I
Yeah.
also wanted to shout out that this weekend is Mother's Day, but
Mhm.
some of us will be working this weekend for reasons
Mhm.
you will find out soon.
Ah.
But I'm also volunteering on May 11th at an event in New York City area in Queens actually. If y'all are interested, May is Asian American Native NH Native Hawaiian
Mhm.
Pacific Islander month.
I think so.
And so there's an event I'm volunteering at that is related to that generalized tennis and Asian AAPI Heritage Month event. If you're interested, I have already posted the links publicly on like my socials. Go for it. Go check it out. But yeah, I'm also doing that outside of work. It's fun. I love to volunteer. I'm thinking of starting a
You love to
nonprofit
commit yourself
foundation
to
with my
more
friends.
things, Cherlynn. Yes,
I
yes.
love to burn
Love to
out.
spread ourselves thinner and
All of
thinner.
that stuff.
It's
Yeah.
great. It's great. Okay, well, that's great. If you're in New York, yeah, go hang out
Yes,
with Cherlynn
exactly.
maybe. Let's
Yes.
move on to our pop culture picks for the week. Anything you want to shout out, Cherlynn?
Yeah, so Simon B in the chat actually asked if we could talk about this, so I will bring it up. Simon B had asked if we could talk on is Netflix innovating on live events, right? So we've noticed some shows happen live on Netflix now. I think the most recent one that I can remember, other than the roast of Tom Brady, which we will get to,
The Mulaney
or
stuff,
no,
yeah.
we won't get to because I didn't watch it. I
Yeah.
saw a recent episode of the Everyone's in LA show with John
Mhm.
Mulaney, and honestly, it was kind of cringe to me because it was just a lot
Mm.
of like comedians sitting around. Well, not all comedians, but some comedians, like
That's
Patton
live.
Oswalt was
That's live.
there.
But like, yeah.
Right, that's what live is you sit
Mhm.
around and try to make jokes, but they don't all land, right? Because it's live
It
and it's
depends. Like maybe because I was raised on Conan O'Brien, right? And I watched him like
Conan's
struggle.
great. I loved
Conan's
it
great,
live.
But I don't know if you watched him in the 90s, Cherlynn, when he had to like
Not in the
struggle to
90s.
make
No, it
people
was in
laugh at
Singapore.
12:30 a.m. at night.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a struggle
No.
because he had no budget and time.
Yeah, I get that, and I'm just saying you get the same vibes from everyone's in
Yeah.
LA with John Mulaney, but I don't know about I think the live format works for
Mhm.
some things. I think you have to come a bit more. I think it depends on the person that's hosting the live event. Like speak of the devil, we're doing a
Speak of
live
the
event
devil.
right now.
But so
Like, come
the
on,
value of live is right. Yes, you
interaction.
can plan, but it's interaction. It is also you're not spending like several days producing it, writing all the jokes, like really fine
Yeah,
tuning it. Like you
yeah.
can just like do it and make it interesting and entertaining. So I think that's the value there. I
So
don't know if
I don't
Netflix is innovating on this because this stuff has
exactly.
existed on network TV, on
Yeah.
YouTube and elsewhere, but it is kind of interesting to see history repeat itself, right? To be like
So
now live
yeah,
events on stream.
exactly.
Yeah.
Full circle. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers your question, Simon. You let me know in the chat, but I will say that like that wasn't really a recommendation for me. It's not a pick. The actual not even pick. It's like here's a thing I've been playing, and I mentioned this on Threads recently,
Ugh.
and y'all told me about Helldivers and whatever and Hades too.
Uh-huh.
Here is the game I've been playing a lot recently to the point where like I will stay up till 2 a.m. to finish this game. Are
I'm
you ready
ready.
for this,
I'm
Devindra?
ready. Tell me.
It's called Match Factory,
Oh,
and
what
it's
is it
on
about?
iOS, and it's
What is it about?
basically another iteration of that Candy Crush format.
There you
It's
go. There
basically
you go.
here's what it is, and I'll pull it up for y'all to look at too. I'll sacrifice one round if y'all need, okay? But it's called Match Factory. It's basically every round you're presented with this like cluster fudge of crap, and it's a lot of like messy objects, and then you have to sort through them. You have to like match them up, and it's 3D too. So like here, you can't see on the audio version of this
Yeah.
podcast, but on the live stream you can see like it starts out with this giant mess of stuff, right? And then you have to like pull together the same items and match them so they go away, and then you fill up a row at the bottom. Anyway,
Yeah. We need to find
clearly
Cherlynn like a meditation game, like a game that doesn't involve like reorganizing giant messes, which is literally all we do all day, right? Basically.
that there's that moving game. There was
Yeah.
Overcooked. I love
Overcooked.
so
The moving game
what
is
I
good. Yeah.
what I was gonna tie back to Hades
Mhm.
too is that like if a game isn't just repetitive action over and over, and if I had to think more than like if I
Mhm.
had to coordinate my fighting,
Yeah.
I would not. I don't think it's this sort of thick game for me. This is my jam right here. Like
No,
with
I know.
this
I get
match
it. I get
factory
it.
mess.
I'm just saying, you can broaden your horizons. I think
I can, and
you
I
could
will
do
try.
some stuff, some
But
gameplay.
this got me hooked, and I am so tired this week because of all the work, but also
Because
because
of
of
this game.
Match Factory.
Curse these games. Curse these like little the things that just trigger the sort of like lizard
Ugh.
brain part of us that just wants to like solve these puzzles and stuff. Okay. All right, Cherlynn. I'm not surprised by this, but I hope you get to experience Hades at some point.
I do too.
I want to shout out real quick. Of all things, the Phantom Menace, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom
Ooh.
Menace. I saw it. It's in theaters on like it's about 25 years now. It's been making the rounds. I think they're going to do all the prequels. I saw it because I have not seen this movie in a very long time, and also I was sort of intrigued by rewatching it now in hindsight after seeing too much Star Wars and kind of comparing
Yeah.
it to everything that came. So I've been thinking about it so much. I just woke up, Monday morning. I was like, I'm just going to write about the Phantom Menace for Engadget. So I wrote a piece about why the Phantom Menace is kind of more intriguing to me now and how I'm learning to appreciate it. And I'll say this: if you watched it in theaters originally, or if you grew up hating it, I think it's probably worth rewatching right now because there are interesting things about the Phantom Menace. The fact that there's so much interesting design work, so many of the worlds and sets and everything feel so real. It is pioneering. It pioneered like CG characters too. No matter what you think of Jar
Right.
Jar, it is fascinating to see like it implemented back then. I think more and more, the more we're seeing like Star Wars stuff and Marvel stuff shot in the volume or that weird stage where they virtualize the backgrounds, there's something real and gritty about the Phantom Menace. There's puppet work. There's a lot of physical sets and environmental work. It just felt nice. Felt nice, and also just I take what I like about that movie, and then I sort of like reject the rest, and sort of like craft the ideal movie in my head. But it is worth seeing in theaters. The pod race is still good. Duel of the Fates, the final fight is still amazing. So it's good stuff. And also, if you go see this, you see a preview of Star Wars Acolyte or The Acolyte, which is the upcoming series, which also stars
Um,
Carrie Ann Moss. And let me tell you, I was excited for this, And then I watched this extended preview, and I'm like, oh, they're just doing Crouching Tiger. They're doing Crouching Tiger in the Star. It's like full on
Dang.
wuxia fighting, like full on. They do it's basically the tea house fight from Crouching Tiger. It just opens with that, with somebody approaching Trinity and like having her have force powers. I got chills, and the fight ends, and she asks this unnamed fighter, "Who trained you?" And I kind of love that. That is very much the Crouching Tiger thing of like, oh, this young warrior, where are you from? Who trained your skills? I dig that. I dig the vibes. I'm very excited about the Acolyte as well, which is I think coming in a couple weeks. So yeah, Star Wars stuff, man. It is worth seeing the Phantom Menace in theaters. You may think I'm crazy, but do it. It is worth it. It's good for you. And I think that's it for the show this week.
Just a side note that you've got me convinced I'm gonna go to a theater to check out the Phantom Menace.
I mean, you are certainly doing worse with your time.
Oh,
Yeah.
excuse. I'm on level
You're on
550,
level
I'll
5.
have you know.
If you sit in the back row, maybe you can like play the game while the movie is playing. And that's actually not a bad way to experience the Phantom Menace.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will do the outro, and I think we have some time for
Mhm.
Q&A.
Yep.
Well, that's it for our episode this week, everyone. Thank you as always for listening. Our theme music is by game composer Dale North. Our outro music is by our former managing editor, Terrence O'Brien. The podcast is produced by Ben Elmett. You can find Devindra online at
Devindra on Twitter, Mastodon, Blue Sky, all over the place. And I podcast about movies and TV at the Filmcast at thefilmcast.com.
If you want to send me your very non-suspicious reasons for squeezing the Apple Pencil Pro, you can send them to me. I'm still on, I guess, Twitter at Cherlynn Low or on Threads at Cherlynnstagram. Email us your thoughts at podcast@engadget.com. Leave us a review on iTunes or your podcast platform of choice, and subscribe wherever you get podcasts.
Thanks, folks. We're out. All right, chat. I'm seeing
Okay.
chat. Dude named Charlie says,
Chatting
have you seen Shogun?
time.
Shogun is so good. Everybody
So
needs to see
I
Shogun.
know.
Cherlynn, you need to
So
see
Shogun, dude
and
named Charlie,
Shogun.
Shogun was recommended in 2
Yes.
previous episodes.
Yes.
When it was about to come out and when it wrapped.
So, oh, what a show.
Bye to paradise.
What's up,
Paradise.
Paradise. Parker says, I refuse to say X. This is true.
This is true. I never say X.
Yeah, I also.
And Parker was surprised we're back. I was like, listen, we are happy to be back. Very, very happy to be back.
Happy to be back. And also let us know if you want to see us after events too. We were thinking of doing something after the iPad thing, and we just didn't know if it was worth it.
Fast enough.
But I would like
we
to
always talk about possibly game streaming too, but never actually do it.
Speaking of, Drew Karmokar is asking, do y'all ever play any games on YouTube? And I don't know if you mean like, do we stream us gaming, or do you mean those games on YouTube stuff?
Which games on YouTube?
Okay, Jess Condit was on the live stream like a couple of weeks ago, and she has been singing the praises of
YouTube games.
Wait, not YouTube games, Netflix games.
I was singing the praises of Netflix games too.
Netflix games are they have some built-in ones, but they are also doing mobile games too. I want to do.
I'm talking about the one where you download a separate controller app and you can play on your TV.
This would actually be. It's a good idea and good to bring it up because I think this is how we bring Cherlynn into Hades, right? To present Cherlynn with the art of Hades and the story and everything.
Make me stream with y'all.
And one of us, like, you could just watch and respond, and we play. And that's actually the joy of live stream.
Yeah, that would be fun because if you don't want to do the fighting or something, but we can just play it, and then you can make the like NPC romancing decision.
I will tell you this: at my previous job, we also like toyed with the idea of live streaming games, and we did one like quick Twitch stream where like 2 of my friends were playing, I don't know what, Street Fighter or like some Mario thing, and I was like, "Is that Mario Quest?" Like live on the stream, like, "Is that Mario Quest?" And they were like, it's not a game, but you might have, landed on a great idea for a Mario game. And I was like, okay. Yeah. And then I was just describing characters that they were using. I was like, that's a Demon Ball 99, right? Like, what is that thing that you're fighting? That's a obscure kite machine.
The thing about game streaming is that it requires time to set up and to actually play the games. And I don't like within our work days, it's kind of tough. So then it may have to be a night thing. And that's all.
Exactly. Then it's so much extra
work.
We're
so exhausted.
Brendan Stiles says I should stream myself playing Pong, and I'm like, I don't think you know how dangerous that suggestion is.
Yeah, that's actually, we could just set up the live stream of Cherlynn. I wish I could have live streamed you playing those airplane games, Cherlynn, because that is
Oh my
truly
God.
that's one of those sights to behold. That's like seeing a human NPC in action of just like constant repetitive actions. They're not eating, they're not drinking. I think she's breathing. I think it's still happening. Yeah, she's alive. It's just brain functions are going to the game right now.
Mario Quest. I am Mario. Is my
You
quest?
might- you Mario
on?
Quest.
It's the mustache. I get it
It's the
now.
mustache. Yeah.
Brandon Style says Duck Hunt, and I'm like, oh Lord, okay.
Oh Lord.
And dude named Charlie's gonna stream playing Papa's Pastaria.
I would love
Oh,
to live
God.
stream more VR things.
Yeah.
Can't really do Vision Pro stuff, unfortunately, but we can do like Oculus stuff. And Cherlynn, you and I have done some like VR things together when we did Tribeca
Yep.
and those other things. And
Yeah.
those are always
Those are
fun.
fun.
We could make those.
Because we look so ridiculous.
That's the other.
Oh, also
thing.
hi,
Yeah.
hi to Declan. And oh, we saw like
Hello.
Declan join us later in the stream.
Hello.
Who else is here?
So
Jonathan
Simon-
Anderson too. I think we shouted out during the recording a
Yeah,
bunch.
Dhruv
Oh yeah,
Karmokar too. Like we
can
haven't
we-
seen Dhruv Karmokar in
Yeah, I
so
know.
long. Nice to see you.
And,
Dhruv.
well, we've been gone for a very long time. We didn't really like
it's really our fault.
yeah,
It's
get
not
everyone back.
their
Yeah.
fault.
Totally our fault.
Can I just pause to mention Paradise donated money.
Don't
and,
donate money.
We appreciate the love.
How do I
but
turn
we
that
cannot
off?
let's not I don't know if we can. Let's but we really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, and I mentioned that in the chat right after someone did
yes.
that. So
Uh-huh.
And so we've told everyone to don't do that. Mark Dell knew that it was triggering me, and Mark Dell was like,
more
"Oh, we
reasons for
donate."
sure,
I was
Cherlynn, you
like,
should
"Oh
just
my
do
God."
your own live streams. And I'm sure if like you just sitting there playing these repetitive games, we'll just like you'll rack up all the YouTube
Oh my
money.
God.
That's your key to success, Cherlynn. This is how you become a video game
side
streamer.
hustle idea, right?
Yeah.
Like me streaming on I don't know. People are saying Twitch is better. I'm thinking like YouTube's easier for me.
Twitch, yeah, YouTube is easier. Also, everybody tries to, I don't know. Everybody like
Oh my
Twitch is
God.
saturated with real game streamers.
Okay.
That's the
My
thing.
personal greed aside, we cannot
Uh-huh.
talk about this on this stream because this is work, and ethically we are not taking your money. We just
We
no.
are not taking money.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're being paid by our parent company. Okay. And anything else, we're going to just
take
talk
that money
about
and donate
elsewhere.
it to local,
like a
local
dog shelter or
Uh,
something.
dog shelters, food shelters, whatever, homeless shelters.
Yes.
There's
And
several
then
wars
saying,
going on.
let us
Yeah.
know. We would
So
be so
Simon-
grateful.
So Simon B says Netflix is going like hashtag full circle. Feels like Netflix is bringing back the OG way of watching TV with cable services.
Mhm.
That is absolutely true, and it has kind of felt weird
It is.
because
Yeah.
we got onto all these streamers to get away from that concept. And like people really loved the idea of like bingeable shows at the very beginning. But what was it last year? I
Mhm.
think I saw a backlash where people were like, if they had released The Bear week by week, we would have been talking about it for the whole summer.
This is true.
So
I think some things should be released week to week and some things should be dumped all
Yeah.
at once. It depends on the thing. I
yeah,
would say. Yeah.
I
Andreas
Mhm.
sorry.
I think we
Go on.
might end up seeing like what the streamers or what the like combination TV network streamers think is their prestige show based on whether or not it's released week by week or just like dumped out all at once.
Shogun was week by week, and I think I loved watching it and then talking about it because people would be like, "Did you see the latest Shogun?" Then you have a conversation like floor. You know what you can talk about. Whereas if you dump it all at once, it's hard to have a conversation. It's hard.
Yeah,
to
all of
not
a
everyone's
sudden
gonna
people
watch it
are
at the
like,
same time,
"Oh,
yeah.
well, I saw the whole thing over the weekend," versus like somebody who has 2 kids like Devindra saying like, "Oh, I was only able to see like 1.5 episodes. Like, sorry, I can only talk about those 1.5 episodes."
I think weekly undoubtedly is like better for conversations and for marketing and whatnot, but it depends on the kind of show. We didn't talk about this, but there was the news going around, or I don't know if it's a report that Disney, Hulu, and Max may do a combined bundle platform. These who Max do? I don't know.
A cable
Who Max?
subscription?
Who Max Diz? Who Max
Wait,
Diz? Who Diz?
exactly. New
Max?
Disney Who Max. No, new
Who
Max.
Diz
Who
Max?
Diz?
Wow,
New Max
actually.
Who Disney.
Yeah. There you go.
Anyway, trademarking. Hi to Andreas Hilmerson, who said hello from a Swedish
Hello.
dude. Declan said something that made me laugh actually out loud, which is he just reminded me of what you actually said, Devindra. He goes,
It's for
Twitch
real
is
gamers.
populated with real gamers.
This is
Devindra
true, but
goes,
also not a great
cruel.
place
You
to
are
do like
cruel.
random casual streams, I'd say. So I don't know.
I get it.
I don't know.
I'm probably gonna just use Instagram Live, but Instagram Live
Oh
can't
yeah,
let
you
me
could do
stream my screen, so I don't know.
you could do TikTok Live. I mean, still a thing. But yeah,
TikTok Live
While it's
is
still
the hell
here.
dimension.
TikTok
Or
Live is
TikTok
wild.
Live
Yeah,
is like interdimensional
Mhm.
cable or something. TikTok Live feels like a different app entirely
it is.
from
It is.
TikTok.
It is. It's amazing. To be honest.
Jonathan Anderson says Max Dish Who, and I still think new Max Who is the winning one.
Mhm.
Anyway,
You're
I think
getting the
we're at
news from
time, you
there.
guys.
We're at time, yeah. But hello, thank you everybody for joining us. Any other questions? Any other questions?
Do name Charlie says dump it all at once. Don't make me wait. And you know what? I do like to dump it all at once.
I think that is we've had enough of that. I know you like that, Julie. But we've also had enough of that, and it's sort of like that was the only
Aw.
thing separating Netflix at the
True.
time when they had like no good content. So they could be like, here's all of what was what was that first show? The one with the guy from The Sopranos before House of Cards. They had a show.
Oh, it was what was it like Oslo or something?
Something like that. Or they dumped House of Cards and be like, yeah, this looks
Hmm.
premium and also you can watch it all at once. What a concept. Anyway,
Um,
folks.
Lilyhammer.
Okay, I have one
Lilyhammer.
last question.
Mhm.
Is the hot take poll? Can y'all tell
Uh-huh.
me if you I should be singing the outro in future? Because right now I want to sing. It's time to
Please don't.
say goodbye. Everybody, leave your goodbyes in the chat.
Mhm. If you want.
We might get slammed with the MCA because I just replicated that movie.
You just directly copied it. Yes.
Yeah, it was too good.
Okay, wait.
Anyway.
One last thing before we go. Devindra, do you have
Yes.
the R1? You want to
I
dust
do
it
have
off?
the
Oh
R1.
yeah.
Okay, so the specific
All right,
prompt
say goodbye
was,
while we do this, everybody.
Okay.
yes.
Wait.
The specific prompt
It will
was,
not.
can
I'm
you
sorry. I'm sorry, guys. As I don't know if you've read my review of the R1, but it is a notoriously unstable device. So it is fully charged. It's fully ready.
Mhm.
My Wi-Fi
And
network's
yet
right
network
here,
connection
and yet
lost.
no network connection. Let me
Really?
Yeah,
vamp for a
try
bit.
try
Ben.
for the
Let's see.
network connection because the specific prompt, if we want to do it scientifically,
Uh-huh.
is excuse me. Can you compose a poem about
Mhm.
$200 AI devices that are bad? The
Mhm.
only difference in that prompt
It's
is
the
that
price, yeah.
we are naming the price of the R1 versus the humane pin.
Okay, hold on. I
While
gotta
while
re-sign into
Devindra,
Wi-Fi.
while Devindra
This
does that, I'm gonna
freaking
do
I hate
like the
this device.
goodbyes to people who are saying bye. So
Mhm.
bye to
Hello.
Jonathan Anderson. Brandon Styles has a question that we'll answer next time. Come back, Brandon Styles, to ask that. Bye to Drew Karmokar. Bye to George Morgan.
By the
Chooch.
turbine spelled with a 1.
Deepro9, Barker _128, Ruin Dick said they're late, and better late than never. Just go back and watch it again. Lucky Dog Podcast, John Dolphin says live long and prosper. Peace fam. Cut says ask it how to fix your network connection.
Okay,
It's not my
It's
network.
still connecting.
It's the rabbit.
Okay, wait, what's
Name
happening
Charlie
now?
says it's
What
so
does it
hard to
say?
say
What
goodbye
does
to
it
people
say?
today. Failed connecting to network.
Failed connected to network.
What is at the top? Hakta what?
That's my wireless pack.
Ah.
Giga. This is my wireless network.
So
This is a useless device. I gave it a 40, and now it
couldn't
can't even
even
get
do the
online.
thing.
So yeah,
Couldn't even do the thing.
if I can do it, Ben, today, I will send you the audio.
Okay, yeah.
Seven B
that'll
says have
be-
a great weekend.
Yep.
Thank you all so much. Lucky Dog Podcast says stay safe, everyone. Thank you all. Come back next week.
Yeah,
Thank
so
y'all.
credits are very simple. It comes to you by us. Devindra does all of the OBS stuff. I do the camera switching. And thank you to the listeners and viewers. You made us smarter today. So please come back and make us smarter. Put in your comments, like remember stuff that we forgot. It's really, really helpful. It makes the show better. So thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Later, folks. Bye.